Tonight we've got a charming collection of peaceful bedtime stories to help kids sleep. Let's get cozy and drift off together. Before we do, could you please tap subscribe? By doing this small thing, you'll let YouTube know you love what we do. Let's get ourselves cozy, snuggle down, and I'll begin. This is Jupiter Twins, The Sleeping Dragon by Gillian Rogerson. Lily and Jake Jupiter were having a wonderful time at the Leora School of Magic. Not only had they met enchanted beings such as mermaids, centaurs and unicorns, but they'd also made many friends. Every day at the school was a new adventure. As well as their magic lessons, the pupils had household duties to attend to. The head teacher, Dr. Eleanor Howard, considered cleaning tasks to be just as important as learning magic spells. She said, pleasure could be found in mundane matters as well as exciting endeavours, and if one calmed their minds and became present in the moment, even cleaning windows could be a relaxing activity. The pupils at the school weren't as convinced as the head teacher was about housework, but nonetheless they took to their tasks with optimism. Yet, there was one task that no one wanted to do: cleaning the storage vault. Every time Dr. Howard asked for volunteers, the pupils would look away from her searching gaze and offer to do something else instead. Jake had noticed the disappointed look in the teacher's eyes when no volunteers stepped forward. So when she asked again about the storage vault, he put his hand up and said he would clean it, and his sister would help him. Lily was about to say she'd rather do something else, but seeing the delighted look on Dr. Howard's face, she smiled and said she couldn't wait to make a start on the storage vault. A few days later, the twins headed towards the storage vault with their cleaning bags in their hands, ready to tackle their task. Lily said, I wish we had something more exciting to do. I liked cleaning the stained glass windows in the Great Hall and looking at the stories in the glass. And I like making hot drinks for the teachers, because we got to go into their offices and have a chat with them. That was fun. But I'm not sure about sweeping the floors of the vault. It doesn't sound very exciting, does it? Jake shrugged. It could be fun. Think about all the pupils who have been to these vaults before. Elves, fairies, centaurs, gnomes, and griffins. I bet some of them cleaned it too. Lily brightened up. Yes, that's true. I wonder if they use magic. I wish we could use magic. Not for all the cleaning, but maybe one spell to make it more fun. They reached the storage vault and arrived at an old wooden door. They heard a fluttering noise behind them and turned around to see a white butterfly flying towards them. The butterfly landed on the door and became still. There was a message written on its wings. It was from the head teacher. Dear Jake and Lily, thank you for offering to clean the storage vault. It hasn't been cleaned for a long time, and bearing this in mind, I will allow you to use 3 magic spells to help you with this task. I trust you will choose your magic spells wisely. Kind regards, Dr. Howard. Jake grinned at his sister and said, "Look, Lily, it looks like your wish has come true." Lily grinned back and said their cleaning work was about to become a lot more exciting. The white butterfly flapped its wings twice and disappeared. Jake pushed the door open. It creaked loudly. The twins stepped through the door and into the huge vault that ran the length of the school. The ginormous room had a red brick ceiling that was held up by stone pillars. Lines of wooden bookshelves stood like soldiers across the floor, and further along, tables were piled high with boxes. The twins were expecting a musty smell to come from the storage room, but they were pleasantly surprised to feel a warm breeze flow gently around them. The soft wind held a hint of outdoor freshness, and the twins inhaled a soothing scent that was fragranced with summer flowers and freshly cut grass. A twinkling cloud of fireflies flew through the open door and fluttered towards the curved ceilings. They landed on the ceiling and settled there, illuminating the way ahead for the twins. Lily said, "I feel like I'm in a magical world." "Me too," Jake agreed. A peculiar expression crossed Jake's face. Lily noticed it and knew what it meant. Her brother was getting a strong feeling about something. She asked him what he was thinking. "Something amazing is going to happen today," Jake said. He gave her an embarrassed smile. "I don't know what, but it's got something to do with the history of the school and something that's been hidden for a while. I could be wrong, but it's just a feeling I've got." Lily said she trusted his feelings. She suggested they explore the large room first, before getting on with their cleaning work. They headed towards the tables and looked at the boxes piled on them. According to the labels, the boxes contained old textbooks and school records. Some boxes held lost items which had never been claimed by anyone. Lily peeped inside one of the lost property boxes, hoping to find something interesting, but only saw a school scarf and hat. The twins walked towards the bookshelves and looked at the old books. Jake read some of the titles and said, "I'd love to read these. I wonder if Dr. Howard will let me borrow some later." "I'm sure she will." Lily ran her finger along the line of books and looked at her fingertip. She said, "It's not very dusty in here, and the floor looks quite clean too. I don't think it will take us long to finish our work." She took a yellow cleaning cloth from her bag of supplies and flapped it in the air. A twinkle alighted in Jake's eyes, and he said it was time to make the cleaning work fun. He asked Lily if there was a spell she would like to use. Lily looked at the cloth, then at the shelves. She knew which spell would be perfect. Lily held the cleaning cloth out and recited the words to the spell. The yellow duster lifted from her hand and twirled around in the air. Small yellow specks flew out of the duster. The specks turned into little yellow feathers. The feathers grew bigger and then flew off in all directions. The yellow feathers landed on the boxes, tables, and bookshelves and moved back and forth in a cleaning motion. They even flew towards the ceiling and gave it a good dusting too. The Jupiter twins watched in delight as the yellow feathers cleaned the whole of the vault. When the cleaning had been completed, Lily brought the spell to an end, and the yellow feathers vanished. She plucked the floating duster from the air and put it back into her cleaning bag of supplies. "All done," she said proudly. "Not quite," Jake said. He pointed to the floor and said they needed to give it a clean too, and he knew just the right spell that would help. He closed his eyes and his forehead creased in concentration as he tried to remember the right words. He cast his spell, opened his eyes, and grinned at Lily. Out of nowhere, an item appeared on the floor near their feet. Lily said, "It looks like our vacuum cleaner at home. That's not very magical, Jake." "You haven't seen what it can do yet," her brother replied. The vacuum lit up and hummed gently. It turned slowly around and began to move forward. Jake said, "It will pick up every bit of dust in super-fast time. Watch this." He clicked his fingers. The magical vacuum cleaner zoomed across the floor like a race car. Off it went, rushing to the very end of the huge room. When it got to the end, it spun around and zoomed back towards the twins. Jake," Lily said, "it's heading towards us really quickly. Will it stop when it gets closer?" Jake nodded confidently. The vacuum sped straight towards them and showed no signs of slowing down. Jake was no longer confident that the machine would stop, so he grabbed his sister's hand and the twins ran out of the way. The vacuum spun around and went after them. "It must think we're dust too," Lily said as they ran along. "Jake, you have to stop it. Use another spell." Jake called out a stopping spell. The vacuum rushed towards a shelf of books, and at the last moment it stopped and gently bumped into the shelf. With a puff of smoke, the vacuum cleaner vanished. One of the books on the top shelf wobbled slightly and started to fall. With lightning-quick reflexes, Jake ran forward and caught the falling book. Phew, that was close. He looked at the book in his hands. "Hey, Lily, look at this book. It's all about dragons." Lily went over to her brother and looked at the picture on the cover. It showed a cream-coloured dragon with emerald green eyes, flying over green fields and towards some snow-capped mountains. Jake knew how much his sister loved dragons, so he passed the book to her so she could have a closer look. As he did so, a piece of folded paper fluttered free from the pages of the book. The paper hovered in midair and unfolded itself. The twins stared in amazement as a tiny cream-coloured dragon flew out of the paper and circled the twins. It had emerald green eyes. Something else magically appeared from the paper. It was a building. The twins almost didn't recognize it at first, but as it grew bigger, they saw it was Leeds Town Hall, the very building that stood on the ground above the school. The tiny dragon flew towards the clock tower of the building and rested on the side of it. The dragon closed its eyes, fell asleep, and melted into the stonework of the tower. A second later, the town hall disappeared, taking the sleeping dragon with it. Lily looked at her brother in surprise. She said, "How did you make that happen?" "I didn't do anything," Jake replied. "It happened all on its own." "Lily, I think this is why I had a weird feeling earlier. I think we were meant to find this book and see that dragon." "But what does it mean?" Lily asked. Jake shrugged. They discussed the matter for a few minutes, but couldn't make any sense of it. They decided to take the book to their head teacher. They were certain she would know what it all meant. The paper that had flown free from the book was still hovering in the air, so Lily grabbed it and put it back inside the book. The twins left the vault and headed towards the head teacher's office. They weren't that surprised to see Dr. Howard waiting outside her office as though she were expecting them. The head teacher smiled at the twins and said, "You found something, haven't you? I had a feeling you might." Lily gave her the book and told her about the dragon and the town hall. Dr. Howard took the piece of paper from the book, unfolded it and looked closer. She said that whatever enchantment had been used on the paper was a one-off, and the small dragon was unlikely to appear a second time. She asked the twins to tell her again exactly what they had seen. The twins did so. The head teacher shook her head in disbelief and muttered to herself, "It can't be. I thought it was just a legend. And why would it appear now? Unless—" She looked at the twins and broke into a big smile. "Unless you two were meant to find it. I realize I'm not making any sense. Let me explain." Dr. Howard told them about the early days of the school and when it was first built. Stones were gathered from nearby caves and used in the fabric of the building. It is thought that one of the stones was a magical one and contained an enchanted sleeping dragon. When the stone was put in place, the dragon woke up and became visible. He was a friendly dragon and told the head builder about a secret portal in the clouds that led to the land of dragons. The dragon was the only one who knew the way, but he could carry a couple of people on his back, and that would allow them to enter the land too. The kind-hearted dragon offered to take the builder to the mystic land. Off they flew, and when the builder arrived, He was amazed at what he found. Not only did he meet many dragons who told him fascinating stories about their rich history, but he was also given magical gifts that he took back to the school and gave to the head teacher. Jake couldn't help himself from interrupting and asked, "What kind of gifts?" Dr. Howard replied, "That's what we don't know. We don't know much about the sleeping dragon at all, apart from what I've just told you. This story has been passed down through the ages until it has become more like a myth than something that actually happened. If it is true, we don't know if the sleeping dragon decided to stay in the land of dragons for good, or if he stayed in Leeds, perhaps somewhere near the school, or in the school somewhere. Let me check something. Come into my office." She went into her office and the twins followed her. Dr. Howard waved her hands in the air and a dozen floating maps appeared. Some of them looked like antiques. The head teacher swiftly examined the maps, and with a click of her fingers, she made them vanish. Dr. Howard said, "It seems that part of the magical stone that held the sleeping dragon was used later in the construction of the town hall, specifically the clock tower. I don't know who left this book in the vault, because I've never seen it before. Perhaps the first head teacher of the school left it there and placed an enchantment on it so that it only became visible to the right people at the right time." She smiled at them. "And that means the book was waiting to reveal itself to you, Jake and Lily. What for? We don't know yet." Jake and Lily looked at each other. They had the same question in their minds. Lily said, "Do you think the sleeping dragon is in the clock tower right now? And we can wake it up?" The head teacher nodded and said she wasn't sure how they were going to find the dragon or how they would wake him up, but she was sure the twins would think of something. She gave them the book and said she had every faith in them. Jake said, "You want us to find the sleeping dragon now, and to wake it up?" Dr. Howard nodded and added, "Yes, and if he offers to take you to the land of dragons, you have my permission to go. Make sure you're back in time for supper, though. It's strawberry trifle for dessert tonight. You don't want to miss that. And, of course, you must use any spells you feel necessary on your journey. You could start with a revealing spell to help you find the hidden doorway that will take you to the clock tower." She gave them a look to say they were dismissed. The twins left the office, closing the door behind them. They looked at each other, not sure what to say. Jake said, "I guess we're heading to the clock tower then. Shall I do the revealing spell for the hidden door?" Lily said yes. She opened the book and carefully looked at the pages. They were all blank. How peculiar. Jake recited the words of the spell and waited for something to happen. There was a noise of moving stone behind them. The twins turned around and saw a section of the wall moving to one side. A set of curved stone steps were revealed, which were moving upwards like the stairs on an escalator. The twins stepped onto the moving stairs and were taken upwards. A minute later, they arrived inside the clock tower. They looked out of the open sections at the streets of Leeds below them. They turned their attention to the sleeping dragon and started to examine the stonework of the tower. Their hearts were full of hope that they would find something. It was Lily who spotted something first. At the bottom of a stone column, she discovered a small engraving of a dragon. He looked like the one they had seen earlier flying in the storage vault. He was curled up with his head resting on his tail. His eyes were closed. Lily took Jake by his arm and pulled him closer to show what she had found. Some instinct made Lily run her hand gently over the engraving. She whispered, "Wake up." The small dragon opened his eyes. They were as green as emeralds. He yawned and stretched out his arms and legs. He looked at Lily and Jake. He smiled and gave the twins a friendly wave. The twins waved back. The dragon let out another yawn. And then he began to grow. He grew and grew. He grew so big that he had to wrap himself around the outside of the clock tower. He popped his head through an open window and grinned at the twins. The people on the streets below didn't notice the dragon and carried on with their day. The dragon stopped growing and introduced himself. His name was Zavara, which, he told them, meant sleepy. The twins gave their names. Lily held the book up and said they'd found it in the storage vault. With a smile, Zavara said it was his idea to leave the enchanted paper inside the book. He told them how he'd met the man who was in charge of building the school many, many years ago, and how he'd taken him through a magic portal to the land of the dragons. Whilst they were there, the man was given precious gifts by the dragons, which he brought back to the school. The twins nodded eagerly and said their head teacher had told them the same thing, but she wasn't sure it was true or a myth. Zavara said, "It's true. I remember it well. The gifts were used in the school, but the elderly dragon who gave the builder his first gift was concerned there would come a time when more gifts would be needed for the school. I promised the elderly dragon I would leave a clue inside a book for when that happened. So I created that book that you're holding, Lily, and I put a spell on it. Once that was done, I curled up in my enchanted stone and fell asleep. I love sleeping, and I've had thousands of wonderful dreams. Would you like to know what gifts the builder was given?" The twins nodded again. The green-eyed dragon smiled kindly and said, "I can tell you what he was given, or I can show you. Would you like to come with me to the land of the dragons? Do you have permission from your head teacher to leave the school?" "Yes, and yes," Lily replied eagerly. The dragon said all would be revealed soon. He lowered his back, and the twins climbed on. They were soon airborne and flying over the city of Leeds. No one looked their way. The dragon flew towards some fluffy clouds and went through the middle of them. When they came out of the other side, the twins were no longer in Leeds, but in a different world. Lush green fields lay below them, and not far away they could see snow-capped mountains. Flying around the mountains were dozens and dozens of dragons in a variety of bright colours. More dragons were lying on the grass and basking in the sunshine. As they got closer to the mountains, the twins saw caves carved into the side of them. The caves were homes and had dragon families living inside. There were dragons everywhere, and Lily's face was a picture of happiness. Zavara came to a smooth stop at the foot of the mountain. Dragons swooped down from the sky and landed at his side. Resting dragons got up from the grass and hurried over to him. They welcomed the dragon and his visitors warmly. The chattering dragons stood to one side to let an elderly dragon walk through. She looked at the dragon with green eyes and welcomed him back. She said to the twins, "Ah, I see the time has come when your school is in need of magical gifts again, and you two have been chosen to collect them. May I ask your names, please?" Lily was too in awe of the dragon to speak, so Jake gave their names. The elderly dragon noticed the book Lily was holding and asked where she had got it from. She was still unable to speak, so Zavara explained. The elderly dragon said it would be perfect for carrying the gifts back to the school. She said she would supply the first gift and asked Lily to open the book. Lily opened the book and continued looking at the dragon in wonder. The dragon said, "My first gift is Dragon's Whisper." She let out a slow, long breath and created a shimmering cloud of sparkling water droplets. The droplets floated over to the book and gently landed on the page, where they formed an image of the elderly dragon with the words "Dragon's Whisper" underneath it. The dragon told Lily to give the book to her head teacher when they returned to the school, and she would know how to collect the dragon's whisper from the page and store it in jars so it could be used as an ingredient in magic spells. The other dragons stepped forward one by one and added more gifts to the book. A smile from a tree, a mountain's chuckle, magical morning dew, the evening song from a river, a promise from a bluebird, and many more. Each time a gift was given, a picture appeared in Lily's book with the name of the gift. It wasn't long before the pages were filled with magical ingredients. When the last gift was given, the green-eyed dragon told the twins it was time to head back to school. Lily and Jake thanked the kind dragons for their gifts. The elderly dragon said they must come back again soon, and they would give the twins another gift, a book of dragon stories that were full of adventure and mystery. The twins said they would love that and thanked the dragons again. The green-eyed dragon lowered his back and the twins climbed on. They soared upwards and headed towards a bank of fluffy clouds. They flew through the clouds, and when they came out of the other side, they were back in Leeds and flying towards the clock tower of the town hall. The dragon landed on the side of the building, and the twins jumped into the tower. Their head teacher was waiting for them. The twins told her everything, and Lily handed the book over. Dr. Howard smiled as she flicked through the pages. She said, "We've had these ingredients in the school for years. I had no idea they had come from the dragons. You two found this book at the perfect time because we were running low on those ingredients, and I didn't know where to get any more from. I'll gather them from the book and store them in the appropriate containers. You'll be using some in your advanced magic lessons soon. Thank you for collecting these. I shall see you downstairs in the dining hall soon." She said thank you to the green-eyed dragon and walked down the stone steps. Lily and Jake looked at the dragon. He was starting to grow smaller. He hopped into the clock tower and sat at the children's feet. The twins sat next to him. The dragon yawned and said it was time for him to sleep. But now that the twins knew where he was and how to wake him up, they could come back and see him any time, and they could have more adventures together. He rested his tired body against the stone pillar where Lily had first found him. He continued growing smaller and smaller. He leaned against the stone, melted into it, and became an engraving again. He closed his green eyes and fell asleep. The twins returned to the school and went to the dining hall to join their friends. Later on, as Lily snuggled down in her bed, she thought about the wonderful dragons she had met. A soft smile settled on her face, and she sighed happily. She closed her eyes and gently drifted into a deep sleep. She dreamed of magical dragons and endless adventures. High on a mountaintop in Sleepy Forest, a baby dragon was getting ready to hatch from its egg. The parents of the dragon held hands and waited for their little one to appear. A single crack zigzagged down the glittering purple surface of the egg. The mother dragon said, "Oh, I wonder what our baby will look like. I wonder if they'll know how to fly." The father dragon smiled. Dragons are born knowing how to fly. Another crack ran down the egg. "What shall we call our little one?" the mother dragon asked. "We still haven't decided on a name yet." The father dragon replied wisely, "As soon as we see our baby, we'll know which name is perfect for them." A third crack appeared on the egg and ran all the way around it. The purple egg began to jiggle from side to side, as though the little dragon inside just could not wait another minute to get out. The egg rolled over and broke completely open. A baby dragon, with skin the colour of freshly opened leaves, jumped up and smiled up at his parents. His proud parents looked into his emerald green eyes and fell totally in love with him. To their surprise, their son began to do something quite unexpected. The little dragon shuffled his feet along the ground, waved his arms in the air, and wiggled his little dragon bottom. The mother dragon whispered, "What's he doing?" "I'm not sure," the father dragon whispered back. "Maybe he's got an itch that he needs to scratch." The confused parents looked more closely at their beautiful son. The little dragon nodded his head in time to a silent rhythm and tapped his feet on the ground. He clicked his fingers and began to hum a joyful tune. Then he jigged from side to side and kicked his legs in the air. He waved happily at his parents as he moved around. His mother and father waved back, but they didn't know why their son was moving in such a peculiar way. Just at that moment, a beautiful owl landed on the branch of a nearby tree. She fluffed her white feathers and settled herself more comfortably on the branch. She smiled at the parents and said congratulations to them on the birth of their son. The parents kept their eyes on their son, but moved closer to the owl and asked if she knew what he was doing. "Dancing," the owl replied, "and very good he is too. He's got a good rhythm going on there. Look at him go. He's making me want to dance too." The owl started to bop up and down on the branch. The mother dragon said, "But dragons don't dance. We fly, and we walk, and sometimes we run if we have to, but mainly we fly." The owl gave the parents a knowing look. "You used to dance, don't you remember? Didn't you two meet at a moonlight disco years ago? Isn't that where you fell in love with each other?" A dreamy look came into the parents' eyes, and they gazed fondly at each other. The mother dragon said, "Oh yes, we did meet at a moonlight disco. I've been so busy flying here, there, and everywhere that I've forgotten we used to dance." "Your son was born with a love of dance in his heart," the owl said. "Has he got a name?" "Oh, we forgot about that," the father dragon said. "But I have the perfect name for him." The parents went over to their dancing son and held out their arms to him. The little dragon danced over to them and into their arms. In a voice full of love, the father dragon said, "Disco. Your name is Disco. We've been waiting all day for you to come out of your egg." Disco repeated his name. He grinned, nodded, and said his name a few more times, as if he couldn't get enough of it. Then he jumped out of his parents' embrace and began to dance around the broken eggshell, whilst singing his name over and over again, and clicking his fingers and tapping his toes. The sight of their happy son made the mother and father dragon laugh in delight. They attempted to join in with his dancing moves, but they couldn't quite remember what to do and gave up after a while. Disco danced a little longer before flopping to the ground and falling fast asleep. The next day, the proud parents introduced Disco to the other dragons who lived on the mountain. Disco shyly said hello to the gathering of dragons, and then he began to dance. He just couldn't help himself. His feet just had to hop from side to side. His arms just had to wave back and forth, and his body just had to twirl and whirl around. The other dragons were astonished and asked the parents what Disco was doing. "Dancing," Mother Dragon replied, with a loving smile on her face. "But dragons don't dance," an elderly dragon said. "We fly, and we walk, and sometimes we run if we have to, but mainly we fly." Mother Dragon nodded. "That's what I thought, but then I remembered that we all used to dance. But we were so busy flying here, there, and everywhere that we forgot how to. Do you remember how to dance?" The elderly dragon frowned, as though searching for a memory. He said, "I'm not sure. Did we really dance?" Mother Dragon nodded. "We did. Disco was born knowing how to dance. He's got a natural rhythm in his heart, one that we all have. I keep trying to copy him, but my feet trip over each other. But I'm certain I'll remember how to dance again soon." The elderly dragon smiled. I hope I remember too. Look at the fun Disco is having." The little dragon continued dancing and added a few wiggles and jiggles. He shimmied back and forth along the ground, humming happily to himself. Such was the joy on his little face that the other dragons began to smile. Some of them even tried to dance too, but they kept bumping into each other and had to keep saying sorry. Disco kindly showed them some of his simpler moves, but that didn't work either, and two young dragons ended up with their tails somehow tied together. The elderly dragon said, "I can see how good Disco is at dancing, but can he fly?" "Oh, we forgot about that," Mother Dragon said. Father Dragon asked Disco if he would like to learn how to fly. Disco said he would like that very much. His parents took him to the edge of the mountain and showed him how to open his wings and flap them back and forth. Disco copied them and soon found a rhythm in the flapping of his wings. His feet jigged merrily from side to side, as though dancing to the movement of his wings. When he was ready, his parents showed Disco how to soar into the sky. Disco's little face frowned in concentration as he launched himself into the air. The wind rushed beneath his wings and took him higher and higher. The little dragon smiled. He veered to the left and then to the right. Flying was amazing, totally amazing, and Disco loved it. He looked down and realized he could see the whole of Sleepy Forest below him. He saw lots of forest animals. Some were moving through the long grass, and others were grazing in the flower meadows. A few were wallowing happily in the rivers, and some were asleep in the trees. To his surprise and delight, he noticed some elephants were actually dancing. Disco had never seen anyone else dance before. He swooped a bit lower to get a better look. The group of dancing elephants saw him and waved their trunks in a cheery hello. Disco waved back. The need to dance was too strong for Disco to resist. He flew to the nearest mountain and landed on top of it. He folded his wings behind his back and began to boogie and bop. He twisted and twirled this way and that, and waved his arms around in the air. He hummed a happy tune. It was a melody that came straight from his heart. His parents landed next to him and watched lovingly as their little dancing dragon boogied cheerfully on the mountain top. He was a joy to watch. After a while, the dragon family took to the skies again. But even though Disco loved flying with his parents, the second they landed, he began to dance. He just couldn't help it. His parents loved flying with their son too, but they could see how much his face lit up with pure happiness every time he danced. After discussing the matter between themselves, they came up with an idea. That evening, as the dragon family were roasting marshmallows on an open fire, the mother dragon smiled fondly at Disco and said, "We've been thinking about how much you love dancing." With his cheeks full of warm marshmallows, Disco nodded. He did love dancing very much. Mother Dragon continued, "And we thought it would be wonderful if you met other animals who love dancing too. Perhaps you could even dance with them." Disco quickly swallowed the marshmallows. "Really? I would love that. When we were flying earlier, I saw some dancing elephants down in the forest. I'd love to meet them. Do you think they'd like to meet me?" "Of course they would," his father said. "You are an amazing little dragon with a very special talent." His mother said, "You should fly down to the forest tomorrow and meet those elephants. You might meet other animals who can dance too. And when you come back home later, you can show us any new moves you've learned. Perhaps the right dance will help us remember how to dance again." Disco promised to learn as many new dances as he could. He was sure one of them would be perfect for his parents. Early the next morning, Disco said goodbye to his parents and set off on his dancing adventure. He flew over the tops of the snow-capped mountains and swooped down to the forest. He landed near the elephants, who were dancing again. The elephants didn't notice the dragon at first, because they were too absorbed in the dance they were doing. The elephants had arranged themselves into a circle, and as they jigged to the left and then to the right, their long trunks waved joyfully in the air. An older elephant was sitting in the shade of a tree, playing a merry tune on a big drum. Disco watched the elephants as they shimmied to the right and then skipped to the left, moving in perfect time to the beat of the drum. Before too long, Disco felt the rhythm catching a hold of him. His feet began to tap, and his fingers clicked in time to the music. He moved closer to the elephants and watched their skipping feet. One of the smaller elephants noticed him, and with a smile she made space for Disco in the circle. Disco grinned happily and joined the dancing elephants. His steps were in perfect time with theirs, and he even added a little wiggle and whirl now and again. The elephants noticed his fancy moves and copied him. Soon, the elephants and the dragon had made up a completely new dance. When the dance had finished, Disco introduced himself and said thank you to the elephants for letting him join them. The small elephant said, "That was our first dance of the day. We're going to do another one now. You can join us if you like." "Do you know how to do the conga?" Disco said he didn't, but he liked the sound of it. The elephants organized themselves into a line, with Disco in the middle. Using their trunks, tails, and in Disco's case, their wings, the animals made a long line that stretched back into the trees. The elephant with the drum began to tap out an upbeat rhythm on his instrument, and off the animals went, dancing the conga through the forest. 4 steps and a kick to the left. 4 steps and a kick to the right. Disco picked up the movements in no time. It was a wonderfully happy dance, and it made him laugh with utter joy. He thought about the dragons back on the mountain, and was certain they'd be able to do the conga dance too. He would teach them the moves later. The elephants and the little dragon congaed through the forest with the drumming elephant jigging behind them, never once losing the beat on his drum. After a while, the elephants came to a stop, and the largest one told Disco their dancing was over for the day. But if Disco wanted to find more animals who loved dancing, he should visit the porcupine family, because they would be doing their morning ballet soon. They told him which way to go through the forest. Disco thanked the elephants again, and then went on his way. He had no idea what ballet was, but he'd find out soon. A few minutes later, he found the porcupine family. There were 5 of them, and they were standing on their tiptoes and gently twirling on the spot. They slowly swayed to the left and then to the right, their arms held out elegantly, reaching to the sky. Disco thought they looked very graceful, and he was certain he'd never be able to move like that. The mother porcupine noticed the little dragon and welcomed him warmly. She said, "Are you the dancing dragon? I've seen you dancing on the mountain tops." Disco nodded. "I love dancing, but I don't think I could do what you're doing, though." She smiled at him and said, "You don't know until you try. Watch what I do and do the same." She held her arms out and waved them gently in the air, like ripples on a river. Disco copied her movements, and to his surprise, he discovered he was rather good at it. The porcupines showed him some more ballet moves, and even though some were trickier than others, Disco tried his best and did very well. He had a wonderful time. When the ballet dancing came to an end, the porcupines asked the little dragon to show them some of his dance moves. Disco boogied and shimmied. He whirled and he twirled. He bopped and hopped to his own beat. The porcupines followed his moves and mixed in some of their ballet movements too. And very soon, the dragon and the porcupines had made up a completely new dance. Disco showed the porcupines how to do the conga, which they absolutely loved. When the dancing was over, the porcupines thanked Disco for spending some time with them, and said if he wanted to meet other dancing animals, he should find the pink flamingos down by the riverbank. They showed him which way to go, and then said goodbye to the dancing dragon. Disco headed to the riverbank practicing some of his new ballet moves along the way. He soon came to a group of bright pink flamingos who were standing along the riverbank. Disco was amazed to see that they were all balancing on one leg. The flamingos looked like they were waiting for something to happen. Disco waited too. And then something did happen. A turtle shuffled through the forest with a violin in her hands. "Sorry I'm late," she said. "I slept in. I just couldn't get out of my comfy shell this morning." She moved over to the waiting flamingos, sat down, and tucked the violin under her chin. She began to play a beautiful song. The sound of it caused the flamingos to start dancing along the riverbank in long, graceful strides with their heads held high. They strutted to the left, clicked their fingers 3 times, and then strutted to the right, before twirling around and starting their movements all over again. Disco's feet tapped to the rhythm of the turtle's tune. One of the flamingos noticed Disco and waved him over. He made room for the dragon and showed him how to strut in time with the others. It didn't take long for Disco to pick up the movements, and he enjoyed moving back and forth with the brightly coloured birds. He particularly liked the twirling around parts, and couldn't help adding an extra twirl and a double whirl sometimes. He added a couple of bops too. The flamingos noticed his moves and copied him, and soon a new dance was created. Disco stayed with the flamingos for a while and learned more of their dances, and in return he showed them some of the new ones he'd learned that day. He wasn't surprised to find out they loved doing the conga. After a while, the dancing came to an end, and the flamingos said they had to fly, but told Disco that if he wanted to continue dancing, he should head deeper into the forest, where he would find lots of animals who loved to dance. The little dragon thanked them and watched the pink birds as they flew away over the trees. He walked further into the forest until he heard the sound of music coming from somewhere. He followed the melody and arrived at a clearing where a trio of gorillas were playing guitars. Other gorillas were dancing in pairs and moving smoothly back and forth across the grass. Now and again, one of the dancing gorillas would spin around and dip to the ground whilst holding hands with their partner. The music was joyful, and Disco found himself bopping from side to side. The gorillas saw him and invited him to join them. Disco partnered up with a gorilla who was about his size, and soon the pair were waltzing around the ground as elegantly as the others. Disco couldn't help adding his own touches, with a spin here and a kicking leg there. His moves impressed the gorillas, and they did the same as the little dragon. And it wasn't long before the gorillas and the dragon were moving to a new dance. Disco stayed with the grooving gorillas a while longer, and even learned how to strum the guitar. Everyone was being so kind to him. He carried on through Sleepy Forest, on the lookout for more dancing animals. Disco soon came across a couple of red-furred foxes who taught him how to foxtrot through the blackberry bushes. Then he met a kind-faced panda who showed him how to perform a slow shuffle beneath the shady boughs of an old oak tree. Later on, he joined a dozen stripy tigers as they performed a tango across a wooden bridge, their tiger feet and dragon feet tapping a beat on the wood. Some time later, Disco took a rest at the side of a river and gazed in wonder as a group of smiling otters performed a synchronized swimming dance through the water. They asked Disco to join them, but he didn't like the idea of getting his feet wet. So he stood up and copied their movements on the dry land instead. The day wore on, and Disco carried on dancing with different animals. He boogied with badgers outside their burrows. He sambered with squirrels as they danced around a large tree. He met an elderly monkey who did a mamba whilst playing the mandolin. And he had a fabulous time dancing with some cheerful chipmunks who hopped and bopped through the forest. Disco had a wonderful time learning lots of new dance moves, and an even better time making new friends along the way. Most of all, Disco thought that making up new dances with the other animals was the best fun of all. The sun made its slow journey across the sky and headed towards the horizon. The first star of the night twinkled into view. The little dragon began to feel tired, and he couldn't stop himself from yawning. It was time for him to go home. He opened his wings and flew into the sky. But even though he was tired, his dragon feet still jigged a little jig as the memory of the day's dances lingered in his mind. As Disco flew through the darkening sky, he thought about the animals he'd met and all the dancing they'd done together. He'd had an amazing time and couldn't wait to do it all again. His mother and father were waiting for him on the mountain top. They hugged him and asked him about his day. The little dragon still had a small amount of energy left, so he showed his parents some of his new moves. More stars appeared, and a full moon shone down on the little dancing dragon. Disco was lost in the magic of his dancing and closed his eyes. He listened to the sounds of the night. Hoots came from treetop owls. A nightingale sang sweetly. The soft calls of good night echoed through the forest on the evening breeze. Disco felt the rhythm of the night surrounding him, like a soothing lullaby of relaxing sounds. He swayed gently from side to side. So lost was he in his nighttime dance that Disco didn't notice that all the other dragons on the mountain had silently gathered around him. They saw how slowly he was dancing and how his wings gently opened and closed as though he was flying. The dragons began to copy his soothing dance, and they softly swayed to the melody of the evening too. They smiled gently at each other. This was a dance they could all do easily. Still with his eyes closed, Disco yawned and yawned again. His feet finally came to a stop. Mother Dragon scooped her son into her arms and took him into their cozy cave. She placed him in his bed and tucked a warm cover around him. She kissed him good night. She returned to the dragons and joined them as they danced their special nighttime dance. Very soon, and one by one, the dragons remembered how to dance. The moon shone down brightly on the dancing dragons as they discoed merrily through the night. It was on a sunny September morning, with just the whisper of autumn in the air, that young twins Lily and Jake Jupiter climbed the stone steps of the grand entrance to Leeds Town Hall, with a glimmer of excitement in their eyes. Cars and buses drove along the road behind them. Pedestrians made their way to shops, cafes, and workplaces. People reclined on benches, enjoying the freshness of the morning air. It looked like a normal day, but it wasn't. Not for Lily and Jake. They had just turned 13, and as they had been born into a family with magical abilities, they'd been invited to attend the Leora Academy, a renowned school of magic. And this was their very first day. When they reached the top step, Lily said to Jake, "Are you ready?" Jake gave her a big smile. "I've been ready for months." They looked at the wristwatches which had been sent to them from the academy the previous week, along with precise instructions on how to use them. The twins carefully moved the hands on the watch faces to 13 o'clock. "Have we done it right?" Jake asked his sister. "We'll soon see," came her reply. They waited for the magic to begin. A few seconds later, chimes sounded out from the town hall, counting the hours. Even though it was 9 o'clock, the tones continued until they reached 12. There was a moment's pause, and then a 13th chime rang out, sounding clearer and sharper than the previous ones. A change came over the city. Pedestrians became as still as statues. Cars and buses stopped moving. Birds fell quiet. The breeze dropped. A tranquil silence descended on the city as it froze in time. All of a sudden, the gravelly sound of moving stone cut through the quiet air. One of the 4 Portland stone lions at the side of the town hall's entrance slowly came to life. He rose to his feet and arched his back, making a sound like pebbles rolling down a hill. The lion leapt from his stone plinth and landed in front of the twins. A slow smile settled on his sculptured face. The lion spoke in a deep voice. "Lily and Jake Jupiter, it's good to finally meet you. Let me introduce myself. I'm Elias, one of the guardians of the Academy." Lily said shyly, "We know who you are. We've read all about you." Elias's smile grew. "That's good to know. I see you've brought your parents with you." "Oh no," Lily replied. "We haven't. We're 13 now and we don't need walking to school." Elias chuckled. "They are hiding behind that postbox along the road. Who can blame them for wanting to be with you on this special day? Are you ready to enter the building?" Lily and Jake nodded in unison. Elias waved his paw over the steps to his right. Slowly and soundlessly, a narrow section of stairs opened upwards on an invisible hinge to reveal a set of descending marble steps within. The lion got to his feet, gave them a regal bow, and said, "Off you go. Have the most magical of days. Lily, Jake, I assume you know all about first day privileges." Lily said they did, but didn't know what theirs would be. Elias nodded. "It's different for every pupil. I can now tell you what your first one is. When you get to the bottom of the marble steps, you'll come across a spiral staircase which has 700 stairs. It's quite a hike down, but today you're allowed to slide down the banister. It's a lot of fun. I've done it more than once." He winked at them. "Off you go." The twins thanked Elias and then took their first steps into the Leora Academy. Down the pale pink marble stairs they went. Sparkling crystals and gems encrusted within the rock lit their way. When they came to the spiral staircase, Lily noticed the concerned look on her brother's face and offered to go first. She climbed onto the polished banister and pushed herself away. Her cries of delight filled the air, causing Jake to relax. A minute later, he followed her on the winding journey. Lily was waiting for him at the bottom, her eyes shining with joy. She whispered, "Jake, we're here. We're finally here. Can you believe it?" "I can't." He looked ahead at the long hall which led to their first port of call, the office of Dr. Eleanor Howard, the head teacher of the academy. He drew Lily's attention to a letter pinned on a cork notice board. The letter had their names on it. Lily opened the letter. Jake, it's another first day privilege. We can cast an enchantment on the floor and travel to Dr. Howard's office however we want. We have to decide which enchantment to use. The twins read through their options. They could turn the floor into ice and skate along it, or create a long trampoline and bounce from one end to the other. They could use a zip line as their choice of travel. There was also the chance to create an obstacle course comprising of bridges, tunnels, twisty slides and monkey bars. Not only that, they had the option to use scooters powered by nuggets of magical shadowstone. Jake sighed. I can't decide. They all sound great. I wish we could have all of them. The letter rose from Lily's hand and folded itself into a paper aeroplane. It flew along the hall, emitting a plume of silver smoke behind it, which gently floated to the wooden surface of the floor, like glitter in a snow globe. The twins watched in astonishment as the floor rippled and changed into many different textures. We can have all of them, Lily said in an awed whisper. Have we just cast our first enchantment? Jake shrugged, not knowing the answer. The twins grinned at each other before proceeding along the charmed pathway. They skated smoothly over the sparkling surface of the frozen wood, a few flakes of soft snow fluttering onto their heads. Onto the bouncy trampoline next, jumping so high that their outstretched hands touched the ceiling. The zip lining followed, and then it was on to the obstacle course. After that came their chance to ride the scooters. Powered by shadowstone, the scooters lifted off the ground and bore the twins onwards, making them feel as if they were flying. They landed smoothly outside Dr. Howard's office and stepped off the scooters. A second later, the enchanted floor returned to its normal appearance. That was amazing, Lily said with a big grin on her face. She looked at the door in front of her. The smile on her face faltered. Sensing his sister's nerves, Jake said he'd go into the office first. He raised his fist to knock. He never made contact with the door because it swiftly swung open. Come in, a cheery voice called out. The door opened wider, and the twins were met by the spectacular sight of a golden sandy beach, the blue sea sparkling in the distance. An azure sky dotted with swooping seagulls completed the scene. The sound of the rolling waves mixed with the faint noise of someone playing a guitar. Jake went through the open door and stepped onto the soft sand. A warm breeze tickled his face. Lily followed him and whispered, We're on a beach. I know. With the sea and sand and palm trees and the sea and sand. I know, Jake repeated. Do you like it? A voice asked from a hammock swaying between two palm trees. It was the same cheery voice which had bidden them to enter. The hammock swung forward, and a woman gracefully climbed out and walked towards the twins. With her long navy hair and sapphire eyes, it was the unmistakable face of Dr. Eleanor Howard. She was wearing a flowing green dress, covered in bright yellow sunflowers, and red flip-flops adorned her feet. A pineapple-shaped glass was in her hand. Dr. Howard stopped in front of the twins and smiled at them. "Jake, Lily, let me get you a drink. This pineapple juice is exquisite." She clicked her fingers and the same pineapple-shaped glasses appeared in front of the twins. They plucked them as though taking apples from a tree. Waving her hand around the beach, Dr. Howard explained it was her latest shape-shifting spell. To change one's own shape is easy enough, as you will soon learn. But to change a room takes much more practice. Alas, I'm still experiencing some teething issues with this spell, such as the T-Rex playing the guitar over there. I've no idea where he came from, and he's terrible on that instrument. But I'm not going to be the one who tells him. Have you seen the size of him? The twins' heads turned in the direction of the enormous dinosaur. Dr. Howard continued talking. "Jake, Lily, I'm sure you're eager to explore the academy. You'll want to meet your fellow pupils and teachers and discover what lessons you'll be learning in your first year. And you're no doubt eager to see your dormitories." Jake and Lily sipped on their drinks and nodded eagerly. "Before you do any of that, you'll need your Book of Magic. It contains everything you need to know about the school and much more." With another click of her fingers, 2 black velvet-bound books appeared in front of the twins. Jake was the first to take his book and open it. His brow creased in confusion when he saw the blank pages. Dr. Howard said, "You have to explore the academy and find 3 hidden gems. Each gem should be placed on the spine of the book. Once they're in place, the book would reveal its secrets. If you know the history of Leora Academy well, you will succeed. You must go now. We will talk later." The pineapple-shaped glasses vanished from the twins' hands, and Dr. Howard returned to the hammock, calling out a goodbye over her shoulder. Feeling somewhat confused, Lily and Jake returned to the hallway with their blank books held against their chests. They walked on down the hall, leaving a small trail of sand behind them. It wasn't long before they came upon an open door. They went inside and discovered a large map printed on the floor. Small silver figures floated down from the ceiling and hovered in front of them. The twins looked closely at the figures before turning to each other in bewilderment. Lily said, "You don't think these figures are the early settlers, do you? The ones who founded the school?" Jake said he did think that, and going by the map of Great Britain in front of them, they should put the figures in the right places and in the right order. Lily admitted she couldn't remember the order, but Jake said he could. From memory, he began to recite the story of how mythical creatures from around the world set out on a quest thousands of years ago to find the perfect location for a new school of magic. As he named each magical creature, Lily put the appropriate figurine in the right area on the map. The quest had begun in Scotland and on the outer islands there. The beings known as Selkies declared it the perfect place for the new school, not only because of the coolness of the water, which was perfect for them, but because of the iridescent purples, pinks, and blue tints of the northern lights, which were so magnificent to watch. The pixies did not care for the colder atmosphere, so a journey was made to the southern part of England, whereupon the pixies fell in love with the sandy beaches and hidden caves. But the centaurs claimed somewhere open and wild would be better, somewhere they could run freely. Hence the quest took the group to Wales. The search did not end there because the Yetis said they preferred forest environments, and so everyone headed to an area which is now known as Sherwood Forest. However, the Mer people declared being near a river soothed the creature's soul, and took the group to a long, meandering river, which would be called the Thames. The mythical creatures would have discussed the matter for years if it wasn't for the sudden appearance of a wise owl. After saying she knew the perfect place for the school, the owl led them to the centre of England and to Yorkshire. The group were guided towards a long, winding river, where the owl explained future settlers would build a city there, full of friendly humans with hearts of gold, and also the uncanny ability to speak their minds when needed. And so the new school was constructed beneath the ground not far from the river. Enchanted portals were added which led to lagoons, caves, forests, mountains, lakes, and many more landscapes, so that everyone's needs were met. Jake concluded his tale, and Lily placed the last figure in the middle of Leeds. It was a replica of the wise owl. As soon as the bird was in place, 2 sapphires appeared on the map. They rose and moved towards the blank books. They fixed themselves into place on the spine. Lily and Jake left the room and once more walked down the hallway. They soon happened upon another door. They entered a room full of floating bubbles. It took them barely any time to realize the room represented a fable called The Night of 1,000 Dreams. The fable said sleep fairies flew around towns and cities in the twilight hours, watching for dreams which would float from houses. The fairies collected them in bottles until they each had 1,000 dreams. Then they would take the bottles to a special cave and place them on shelves. If the fairies became aware of someone having trouble sleeping, a fairy would take a bottle of the dreams and let the bubbles float into the home of the restless sleeper. Without fail, the dreams would lead the person to slumber and a restful night's sleep. Jake wondered what the fable had to do with the gems they were searching for. Lily pointed to 2 empty bottles standing on the floor. Then she raised her hand towards the nearest bobbing bubble. "I think these bubbles are our dreams. I remember having that one over there. It's about a tree house in the clouds. And you told me about that dream of yours when you flew on the back of an emerald dragon. Can you see it just behind you? I think we have to collect our dreams and put them in these bottles. But how will we reach them? Jake asked. Some of the bubbles are near the ceiling. No sooner had he said those words than a pair of silver wings materialized on the back of each twin. Within seconds, they were flying around the room chasing dreams. As soon as they reached out for a bubble, it would pop, and a sprinkle of glitter floated towards the bottles on the floor and trickled inside. When the last of the dreams were inside the bottles, Lily and Jake returned to the floor and their wings vanished. Jake gazed at the bottles. I wonder if any of those dreams will come true. They might. We are in a school of magic, after all. The bottles turned into rubies and attached themselves to the spines of the velvet-covered books. The twins left the room. Instead of the hallway outside, they were faced with a wide expanse of night sky. Stars twinkled and sparkled like gems. What do we do now? Lily asked. What's the sky got to do with the history of this school? Don't you remember? Lily shook her head. Jake pointed towards the star-filled sky and said, There are many constellations which are visible to humans. Pegasus and Pisces, Aquarius and Aquila, Lepus the hare and Cygnus the swan. But there is only one constellation which can be seen by those with magical abilities. I've never seen her before, but now that we're inside this school, we might be able to see her. Let's try. The twins scanned the sky until they found what they were looking for. There she is. Lily pointed to the left. The wise owl who led the first founders here, Leora. As though hearing her name, the star-shaped owl flapped her wings and flew from the sky. She landed in front of the twins, matching them in height. Her wings opened out and 2 stars floated towards the books. They turned into diamonds before settling onto the spines. The stars which made up Leora faded, and she became a real owl. I've been watching over you two for a while. I'm so very pleased you're here. Your books of magic are now ready. As part of your first day privileges, I can tell you a story about the enchanted owls of Leeds, how they came to be here, and how they look after the city. Would you like that? The twins could only nod, having seemingly lost their ability to speak. Leora opened her wings and tucked Lily and Jake cosily inside her warm feathers. They sat down and gazed at the night sky for a little while.
Then the wise owl proceeded to tell the story about the enchanted owls of Leeds. She explained how they first arrived in Leeds and the many ways they look after the city and its inhabitants. Not only that, the owls continue to keep a careful eye on the magical school which lies deep beneath the bustling city. Leora pulled the twins a little closer and said, "This academy is full of magic and enchantment. There are many adventures waiting for you. But for now, close your eyes and rest a while. The adventure can wait until tomorrow."
This is The Jupiter Twins and the Garden of Meditation by Gillian Rogerson. Twins Lily and Jake Jupiter are students at the Leora Academy. It's a school of magic that's hidden beneath the busy streets of a city. Today, the twins have been called into their head teacher's office as she has something special to tell them. Let's join the twins now and hear what their head teacher has to say. Jake and Lily are sitting in their head teacher's office. Their kind head teacher, Dr. Howard, sits opposite them and smiles gently at the twins. She tells them about an enchanted area called the Garden of Meditation. All students at the Leora Academy have access to it and can go there anytime they want to. Dr. Howard explains that sometimes a student's head can become too full of all the new things they have to learn, and that it's important they take time out and go somewhere peaceful to rest their busy minds. The head teacher tells the twins that the Garden of Meditation is such a place, and it's time the twins paid it a visit because she had noticed how busy they'd been learning new spells recently. The twins nod and agree they have been busy with their studies. The head teacher tells them the Garden of Meditation is a lovely, relaxing place, and she often goes there. She goes on to say it's a place to let your thoughts drift gently away, and to just enjoy being in the present moment. She knows the twins will love the garden as much as she does. The head teacher wriggles her fingers in the air, and two star-shaped golden-brown pebbles appear. She tells the twins they will need the pebbles to enter the magical garden and to exit it too. She says they have permission to visit the garden straight away. The pebbles float over to Lily and Jake and land in their open palms. The twins close their fingers around the pebbles and feel the warmth of them. The warm feeling flows down through their fingers, up through one arm and down into the other. The warm feeling flows gently through Lily and Jake and brings with it a sense of relaxation. The twins smile gently at each other. They ask their head teacher how they will get to the special garden. Dr. Howard says they should ask their magical pebbles to show them the way. The twins raise the star-shaped pebbles and notice the tiny sparkles inside them that twinkle and glimmer. They ask the pebbles to show them the way to the Garden of Meditation. The pebbles shine brightly, and a new door appears in the head teacher's office. It is the same golden brown colour as the pebbles. The twins stand up and walk over to the door. It magically opens, and the sweet sound of birdsong drifts through it. The twins say goodbye to their head teacher and walk through the open door and into the Garden of Meditation. The garden is filled with vibrant trees and flowers. Colourful birds dip through the air. Fluffy bees flit from one beautiful flower to another, and the sound of birdsong adds a soothing soundscape to the tranquil scene. The fragrant aroma of flowers and lavender washes over the twins and makes them relax even more. The twins see a glimmering golden path winding through the trees and flowers. It glitters and shimmers brightly in the sunshine. The door gently closes behind the twins, and they put the magical pebbles securely into their pockets. A golden ray of sunlight flows down over them, slowly and gently, from the top of their heads all the way down to their feet. Lily and Jake feel so very relaxed and warm. They take some deep, relaxing breaths, breathing in and slowly letting it out. Breathing in and out, in and out. The twins walk along the glittering golden path, their steps slow and leisurely. The sunlight continues to flow gently over them. They look at the lush green leaves on the trees that line the path. The leaves rustle softly in the warm breeze. The melody coming from the birds in the treetops changes tempo and slows down to a gentle, soothing tune. The twins slow their steps to match the soothing song coming from the birds. Lily and Jake share a soft smile. There is nowhere else they have to be, and nothing else they have to do. Already, their minds are beginning to feel free of any thoughts about their schoolwork. Those thoughts can wait until another time. They continue to walk slowly along the golden path. They gaze softly at the flowers and see roses as red as rubies, sunny yellow daisies and pale pink carnations. Lily and Jake trail their fingers through the flowers and feel how soft and velvety the petals are. The flowers release their sweet perfumes into the air, and the aroma wraps around the twins in a tranquil cloud of relaxation. Lily and Jake feel so very calm and restful. They take some more deep, relaxing breaths. They stroll on and listen to the soft sound of the bees buzzing through the garden, and hear the gentle rustle of the trees and the melodies of the birds. They see a small pond up ahead that is surrounded by rocks and wild flowers. The water in the pond glows with a soft blue light, and the twins move closer to it. As they reach the pond, they look into the clear water and see dozens of shimmering fish swimming in slow, leisurely circles. The fish leave trails of shimmering light in their wake that twinkle in the sunlight. The twins sit on the soft grass at the side of the pond and gaze softly at the shimmering fish moving slowly through the water. The sun bathes them in its gentle heat, and a soft breeze flows over them. Birds sing softly from the treetops, and their melody echoes through the enchanted garden. The air is fragrant with the soothing scent of flowers and lavender, The twins close their eyes and take some deep breaths, letting the tranquility and calmness of the garden wash over them. They sit for a while and bask in the peacefulness of their surroundings. After a few minutes, they open their eyes and see a cloud of beautiful silver butterflies fluttering over to them. As the butterflies get closer, the twins notice how their wings are edged in glittering hues of sapphire and emerald. The butterflies bob gently in the air next to the twins. The twins sense that the butterflies want to lead them somewhere. Lily and Jake rise from the soft grass, and as they do so, the butterflies flutter slowly along the golden path and further into the garden. The twins follow the beautiful butterflies and soon find themselves standing in front of a maze that is made from waist-high hedges. Each hedge is perfectly trimmed, and they form a series of pathways and turns. The butterflies bob in front of the entrance to the maze. The twins move closer to their fluttering guides and smile softly at them. The butterflies flutter through the entrance and proceed to lead Lily and Jake along the gentle twists and turns of the maze at a slow and steady pace. The twins find their minds relaxing more and more as they follow the kind butterflies. As they walk along, the twins notice the leaves on the hedges at their sides changing colour from a vibrant green to a warm shade of gold. A relaxing lullaby arises from the hedges and echoes gently through the maze. Being led through the maze makes Lily and Jake relax more and more. The grass is soft beneath their feet, and the air is warm. They focus softly on the changing colour of the leaves and listen to the soothing lullaby drifting through the air. The butterflies lead the twins to the centre of the maze, where they find a clearing with a large square of golden sand. 2 rakes rest on the sand, and the twins give them a quizzical look. A butterfly flutters over to one of the rakes and slowly opens and closes its wings above it. The rake rises and moves slowly across the sand, with its prongs gliding through the golden grains. It creates wavy lines in the soft sand. The butterfly rests its wings, and the rake settles on the sand once more. The butterfly flies back to Jake and Lily and seems to give them a silent message as to how they should use the rakes. The twins realize the rakes are magical ones that can be controlled by their movements. Jake and Lily slowly wave their hands in the air, and the 2 rakes rise and begin to move across the sand, reflecting the twins' movements. Jake and Lily move their hands more and more, and then sway them from side to side. The magical rakes follow their movements and create pleasing swirls and lines in the sand. The twins get lost in the mesmerizing movement of the rakes and sway themselves from side to side. They move their arms through the air in gentle circles and wave-like motions. They feel as fluid and smooth as the wind as they continue to create invisible patterns in the air. The magical rakes copy their every move, and new patterns appear in the sand. The twins continue to dance slowly in partnership with the rakes. They smile softly as the shape of the wind becomes an image in the sand. After a while, the twins lower their arms. The magical rakes move away from the sand and rest lightly on the grass at the side of it, allowing the twins to take in the full beauty of the artwork they have created together. The patterns in the sand are intricate and mesmerizing. Loops and swirls interlock with each other to form a series of spirals that look like galaxies in miniature. The sand glitters in the sunlight, reflecting the light and adding to the magical appearance of the patterns. Lily and Jake sit in front of the sand and gaze at the beauty of the unique image they have created. They take some more deep breaths and allow peace and tranquility to flow easily through them. After some peaceful minutes, they stand up and have a long stretch. They turn around and see the butterflies resting on top of the hedges. The butterflies are fast asleep. Lily and Jake give their kind guides a silent nod of thanks and head back through the maze. They follow the line of gold-coloured leaves and effortlessly find their way back to the beginning. They step out of the maze and continue strolling along the golden path through the enchanted garden. The sun bathes them in its gentle heat, and a soft breeze flows over them. Birds sing softly from the treetops, and their melody echoes through the garden of meditation. The air is fragranced with the soothing scent of flowers and lavender. With each step they take, the twins become more and more relaxed, immersed in the magic and wonder of the garden. They see a smaller path up ahead that leads towards a large flower garden. They step onto the path and walk along its meandering curves further into the centre of the flower garden. They gaze lightly at each beautiful blossom that they pass. The flowers are in every colour imaginable, from bright red poppies to soft blue forget-me-nots. There are clusters of pink roses that fill the air with their gentle perfume, and patches of yellow daffodils that shine like tiny suns. Some flowers smoothly change colour from purple to green and to gold and back again. A light breeze travels through the flowers, and a soft song begins to arise from them. The twins stop and listen to the floral melody. It's a soothing sound and fills their hearts with love and gratitude. They stay where they are, gazing at the rainbow of flowers and listening to the magical song. The twins turn slowly around, fully absorbed in the present moment. They linger for a few more magical moments and listen to the song of the flowers. Then they walk away from the garden and back onto the golden path. The twins walk on, feeling calm and tranquil. The sun bathes them in its gentle heat, and a soft breeze flows over them. Birds sing softly from the treetops, and their melody echoes through the enchanted garden. The air is fragranced with the soothing scent of flowers and lavender. With each step they take, the twins become more and more relaxed, immersed in the magic and wonder of the garden. In the distance, they hear the sound of falling water. They head along the path, and the sound gently increases in volume. The twins arrive at a spectacular waterfall that cascades over rocks and into a pool of shimmering water. The waterfall is surrounded by lush greenery and bright flowers. A light mist covers the flowers and makes them shimmer and glimmer in the sunlight. The curtain of falling water slowly changes colour, and a kaleidoscope of shades ripples through it from one side to the other, and then back again. Droplets of falling water land on the rocks and create a rhythmic tempo like a soft drumbeat. The twins walk closer to the waterfall and feel a light mist settle softly on their faces. They focus their gaze on the changing colours of the falling water, watching as one colour merges smoothly into another. Red to orange, orange to yellow, yellow to green, green to blue, blue to indigo, indigo to violet, violet to lilac, lilac to pink, and pink to red. As easily as the water flows over the rocks, calmness and serenity flows through the twins. Jake and Lily close their eyes and let the soft mist settle on their eyelids. The sound of the falling water mingles with the ever-present melody coming from the birds. The twins keep their eyes closed and become delightfully lost in the present moment, feeling at one with the magic and tranquility of the enchanted garden. After a few blissful minutes, they open their eyes and smile softly at each other. Jake lets out a long, long yawn. Lily lets out an equally long yawn. The twins are pleasantly sleepy, but don't want to leave the garden of meditation just yet. They walk away from the wonderful waterfall, ready to explore a little more of the garden. Lily and Jake walk along the garden path, feeling calm and tranquil. The sun bathes them in its gentle heat, and a soft breeze flows over them. Birds sing softly from the treetops, and their melody echoes through the enchanted garden. The air is fragranced with the soothing scent of flowers and lavender. With each step they take, the twins become more and more relaxed, immersed in the magic and wonder of the garden. Ahead of them, they see the opening of a cave. A glimmering light comes from within the cave and pulls softly across the golden path. Lily and Jake walk into the cave. It is warm and cozy inside. Huge, soft cushions made from soft velvet are scattered across the floor. They look so very inviting that the twins sink into the cushions with a soft, relaxed sigh. They lay down on their backs and look at the ceiling of the cave. It is embedded with twinkling crystals. Each crystal shines as brightly as the stars in the night sky. Jake and Lily make themselves more comfortable on the soft cushions and gaze at the beautiful crystals as they twinkle and shimmer. The precious gems cast a soft glow throughout the cave. The twins hear the distant sound of the waterfall and the light melody of the singing birds. A warm breeze drifts into the cave and flows gently over the resting twins. Lily yawns. Jake does too. They feel so very calm and peaceful, and very tired too. They look at the shimmering crystals, and their eyes begin to feel heavy. They can feel themselves drifting towards sleep. As delightful as the cave is, they don't want to fall asleep there and decide it is time to leave the garden of meditation. They sit up and take the star-shaped pebbles from their pockets. They ask the pebbles to take them back to the school. The pebbles shine brightly, and the magical door that they saw earlier appears at the side of the cave. It slowly swings open, and they see the school corridor on the other side of it. The twins stand up and walk through the door and back into their school. Their head teacher, Dr. Howard, is waiting for them. She can tell by their restful smiles that the twins have had a relaxing time in the garden of meditation. She reminds Jake and Lily they can return to the magical garden any time they want to. Jake and Lily nod, and then put their hands over their mouths to cover up the yawns that keep escaping. They ask if they can have an early night, because they're so very tired. Dr. Howard nods and says goodnight to the tired twins. The twins say goodnight and head towards their dormitories. Outside their rooms, they say goodnight to each other and agree they've had a most magical time in the garden of meditation, and a restful one too. They know they will sleep well that night. They say goodnight and go their separate ways. As they snuggle down in their beds minutes later, they remember the peaceful sights and sounds of the enchanted garden. Relaxation flows through them from the top of their heads to the tips of their toes. They snuggle down in their warm, cozy beds. They are so peaceful and sleepy, and so very, very tired. They smile softly to themselves, yawn, and easily drift into a deep, restful sleep.